afternoon news and entertainment on Lockwood TV. I'm Katie Taylor.
And I'm Grace Connery.
On today's show, we discuss why the government has made a U-turn on the plans for academies.
We'll be discussing the latest varsity news, and if you missed out on the BAFTAs, fear not, as we'll be providing you with all the latest gossip.
But first, have you ever left a tip for a waiter? Do you know if they've ever received it? Some big chain companies have been found using these service charges for their own benefit. We sent Lockwood's Leggy to find out more.
Over 2 million people work in the food and drink industry, where they rely on tips to increase their wages. However, some big chain restaurants have been found keeping their tips for company benefit. Because there is currently no law on the way we tip, it means staff can be found short-changed.
Well, the 2 years that I worked there before they changed the rules, I only got 60% of card tips, kitchen got 30%, and then Pizza Express kept 10% of the tips that I earned and what the customers had given to me for my customer service. The customers did not know that our managers would be taking a cut. Also, at the end of the day, if our number didn't add up and money was missing from the float, they would make us pay for it no matter why it was gone. That would be taken out of the tips that I may or may not have made that night.
Pizza Express has since changed its policies after the staff complaints. To end all unfair tipping practices, the government wants companies to make it clearer to customers that service charges are voluntary and tell them how their money will be shared between the staff. They want to ensure all tips are received in full by the workers. But why is tipping so important?
I think it shows some appreciation for the hard work that they do. If a customer feels that they want to reward a member of staff for the service they've received that day, then it shows how hard they're working. I think if staff are not receiving tips, then it might make them realise they need to work harder to give better customer service. I also think it's important that the staff keep their individual tips because it's the true reflection of how hard they've actually worked, and I think it's a good reward for them to have on top of their wages.
People can have their say in a government consultation which runs until the 27th of June. Libby Gifford, Lockwood TV.
Plans to force all schools in England to become academies have been abandoned in a government climb down. Sarah Hussain has more on the story.
The U-turn on academies comes after Nicky Morgan, the Education Secretary, faced opposition at the National Association of Head Teachers Conference. The government was threatened with industrial action if it didn't listen to the education sector and withdraw its plans to force all schools in England to become academies. Strong opposition also came from teaching unions, councils and some backbench Conservative MPs. Proposals for introducing academies are now said to be only an aspiration rather than schools being forced to change. But local authorities such as Nottingham question whether academies drive up standards.
The Secretary of State would say that she wants to improve standards in education. So I think the government's line is that they think that academisation of maintained schools, community schools, improves and drives up standards. But I would argue with that. I don't necessarily agree with where the Secretary of State's coming from, and I also don't agree that, or don't think that she's being fully honest or upfront about her motives and reasons for wanting every school to become an academy. I don't actually think it's about wanting to raise standards. I can understand the academisation argument in terms of improving outcomes and raising standards. Whether it actually does that remains to be seen. I think councils need to have that local oversight role of what's happening in their local schools and their local communities.
So what does becoming an academy mean? Academies are independent state-funded schools which receive funding directly from central government rather than through the local authority. They have more freedom to control their own admissions process, length of day and term times, and can opt out of the national curriculum. The government still wants schools to become academies, but now wants to achieve it in a different way. Successful schools will have the option to become academies, but struggling or failing schools will be forced to convert. This provoked mixed reactions from Nottingham locals.
Schools should be able to make their own decisions and shouldn't be forced to become academies.
I believe that being an academy could be better.
It's not a case of whether it's a good policy or a bad policy or not. It's a case of whether it's applied in the right place at the right time.
There's been mixed evidence on the performance of academies compared to local authority schools, but we're still yet to see whether academies do boost standards. Sarah Hussain for Lockwood TV.
So we've been having a look at what you think about schools turning into academies. These are some of the tweets that we've seen. Matthew believes that the quality of education will drop if schools are turned into academies, and education should not be profited by.
Kelly believes that turning academies into schools means there will be a broader range of opportunity and will benefit pupils and the staff. #4academies. Staying with schools, there's new controversy today about SATs tests after a rogue marker tried to leak a test paper. It comes after a big parent protest about the effect the tests are having on children. To make the point, they took them out of their classrooms for the day. Lockwood TV Carlton Smith has more.
SATs tests are taken by children aged 6 or 7 in Year 2 and then again in Year 6 aged 10 or 11 before a third set in Year 9 aged 13 or 14. But parents are growing concerned that their children are under immense pressure and are not enjoying school. Parents have today removed their children from school and have gathered inside Woodthorpe Park to protest against government testing.
And we're really concerned as parents about what's happening to our children in schools, that they're being very stressed about the SATs tests they're going through. And as parents, we got together locally and have pulled our children out to strike today to support our school and support the teachers. A lot of parents talk to me, and a lot of parents here today are saying their children have felt really awful. They've come home and said things like, I couldn't do it, Mum, I couldn't do that. And I need to do more at home now, I need to do more work at home. I didn't understand those questions, they were too hard for me. I'm not good at maths, I'm not good at writing. And we don't need that happening to children that are 6 and 7 years old. And it shouldn't be happening at children that are 10, 11 years old when they do their Year 6 SATs either. We need children to feel happy to be at school and to enjoy what they're doing. And if things are too hard or presented in that way, teachers don't like it. And as parents, we don't like it either, because it's really bad for our children's mental health.
Oh, no, I'm not against testing at all, and the SATs coming up to this year I think have been acceptable. So only this year they've changed the curriculum, they've changed the tests, they want to, they've upped the level of the test, so it used to be a level 5 or 6, it's now got up to a level 9 work they're doing. Some of the work they're doing is what children do at GCSE level. The government say they want to raise standards. I'm not sure testing kids so much is the way to do it, because if you're constantly working to test, you're not discussing things, you're not debating things. If you're only trying to find one answer to a question that is already written down, and that's not the way to learn. That's just learning the answer to a test. That's not learning about a subject.
The Let Our Kids Be Kids campaign is going in support and has been backed by over 30,000 people. This appears to just be the start, as more protests are planned. But as the children play in the park and miss out on their education, this will most likely go down as an unauthorised absence by the school. Carlton Smith, Lockwood TV, Nottingham.
Nottingham Trent's new building in the Clifton campus has been celebrated with a number of awards. It won 4 awards in total, including one from the Royal Institute Architects and also the Royal Institute of the Chartered Surveyors. The building, which has been structured yet has been a simplistic interior, has been given Nottingham Trent architecture students something to inspire to.
As a student at Nottingham Trent, having an award-winning building, how does that feel?
I think it's really good, especially because of the scale of the building. It looks really good, and it also sort of draws you towards it. It's a really good place for students to gather and be together. I like the front's all glass. It means it brings loads of light in. So it's a nice sort of happy atmosphere, and everywhere seems really opened up, so it's a good sort of social.
We have the varsity updates and a special guest who will be joining us here in the studio. But first, 2 years since being named the first city of football in England, and Nottingham is still living up to the impressive name with a new football scheme. Training sessions for those over 40 years old have been set up to get adults back into the game. The scheme is being held at the Southglade Leisure Centre in Bestwood and runs on a weekly basis. It's another football programme since the city received its new title, but it's the first of its kind and aims to keep the sport at the right pace for those who are just about to hang up their boots.
We bridge a gap, so basically these gents here don't want to be playing walking football, not ready for walking football, which is the next step, but don't want to be playing with 25, 30-year-old young men that they can't keep up with. So what we provide is sort of that gap in between. So we provide a game where they can have a run around, but they're not going to be chasing the 25-year-old's heels.
Here to give us the latest on the varsity is Lockwood TV sport correspondent Josh Spragg.
Students from the 2 universities in Nottingham gathered at Notts County's Meadow Lane for the annual varsity football fixture. Officiated by Premier League referee Kevin Friend, the organisers predicted a feisty game fuelled by passionate fans. NTU started the game with a bang, striker Arella Mu lobbing the keeper after just 36 seconds, followed by two outstanding efforts by Joe Junkovic and Josh Ray. The University of Nottingham pulled one back on 70 minutes through Bessie Saldana, but it wasn't enough and Trent eased to a 3-1 victory. That's Trent's 5th football varsity win over the University of Nottingham in as many years. And earlier in the day, NTU women's football were victorious on penalties following a 0-0 draw at full time. In the past week, the University of Nottingham claimed their second Super Wednesday triumph, winning 5-3 over the 8 events. Thursday saw the biggest varsity event in the UK, Trent and Uni are battling out on the ice hockey. In what was a full-blooded encounter, NTU ran away with a 9-5 win, sending the Trent Army wild. The University of Nottingham started Friday well, sealing victories in both men's and women's hockey, but NTU pulled it back with a comprehensive win in the netball. The series now stands at 8-6 to the University of Nottingham, but with the volleyball, futsal, rugby league, men's lacrosse and cricket to come, it's still all to play for in the Nottingham Varsity Series 2016.
Thanks, Josh, for the varsity updates. Here with us is Will Hardy, a captain of Trent's lacrosse team. Hi, Will.
Hiya.
So, Will, how do you think the seasons went?
It was a mixed season. We were supposed to have a coach come at the start of the year who ended up not being able to come, so it was quite difficult at the start, but I think we've done well given the circumstances, finishing 5th in the league, so I thought we did okay, yeah.
You lost last year. Are you doing anything different for this year, practising-wise?
Last year they had really strong individuals, so we concentrated on how we were going to play against them. I think this year, because that didn't work, we kind of focused more on how, as a team, we're going to perform and focusing on us instead of them. That's probably the key change we made.
Okay. And even though the match on Thursday is technically a friendly, how much more does it mean to you and your team?
It's the one we think about all year and the one we concentrate on. We care more about this one than probably maybe not the league result, but we care more about this one than individual games. They beat us twice in the year, so it'd be quite nice to get a game back against them.
You currently also play for England. How did that come about?
Well, I was trying for the England under-19s. I missed out the cup. I think it was 3 weeks too old, so I was playing for Yorkshire, and they asked me to come down and trial. The coach was watching, and I got into the team, so it was all right.
And will you be playing against any of your England teammates on Thursday?
No, there's an Australian international playing for them. That's the only other international player, I believe. I think they have an England under-19s player as well, actually. But we've just employed an England player as the coach, so that he'll be coming with us next year.
And last off, we've got one pop question for you. For lacrosse, which is the national summer sport for which country? Was it A, Canada, B, Germany, or C, Belgium?
Probably Canada, I would have thought.
You're correct. Thanks to Will for coming into the studio. Moving on from sport, we now have our entertainment news.
Nottingham's Maze hosted the Kurt Cobain's favourite bands the other night, Shonen Knife. Touring with the Japanese punks was a band from Ohio called Leggy. Music correspondent Joshua Hall went to have a little chat with the trio.
I'm Chris, I play drums.
You can pass the mic around.
I'm Kirsten, I play bass guitar.
I'm Veronique, and I sing and play guitar.
Guys are of course Leggy, punk band from Ohio, and you are now in Nottingham, enjoying the beautiful sunshine on top of this hill with a windmill over there. And you're touring with Shonen Knife, Kurt Cobain's loved band and massive cult status. How's that been for you, firstly, I suppose?
Super awesome.
It's
super fun, great opportunity. Shows are awesome, they're packed. A lot of them have been sold out.
Our first few releases were self-release, and there was a label over here called Damnably Records that kind of picked up those first few and then added some tracks to it and then released it as a full length, like a CD. And we were just in communication with them, and I think it was like over email maybe. We were just like, hey, we would love to like come to the UK and tour, because like we tour in the States like nonstop.
And they're based in London.
Yeah, they're based in London, and he just emailed back and was like, yeah, well, we have like some dates with Shonen Knife if you'd want to do that.
Because they're Shonen Knife's label.
Yeah.
And you were basically just like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I was at work at the time, and it was like a really like brunch shift, just like really busy. And Veronique texted me and was just like, we got asked to open for Shonen Knife. And I was just
In
like,
the UK.
yeah, in the UK. And I was like, holy yeah, like, we're definitely gonna do that, right? I'll quit my job.
He flipped the table and ran
I flipped
out
the table and quit.
Did you ever imagine actually coming over to the UK and touring and doing all these sort of things?
I definitely dreamed of it, like, as a goal. It's pretty awesome that it's, like, happening right now. But, yeah, absolutely. I want us to tour all over the world forever.
From the London red carpet to Lockwood's TV sofa, we have our very own Jake Mescal to bring us the latest entertainment news and gossip. So Jake, what's the goss?
Good afternoon, guys.
Ooh.
So starting off, we went to the BAFTAs the other day and a local director, Shane Meadows, who does the famous This Is England.
That's such a brilliant show.
They won 2 BAFTAs. I love that show. I don't know, did you watch the latest series?
Yes.
Amazing.
So
like they've started with the movie, and I think they've done 2 or 3 seasons now. Every time they keep winning, and it's great. And also Wolf Hall, which is it's a show from kind of the Tudor time, and it's all about Thomas Cromwell's rise in the courts. It's on BBC. So one series, 6 episodes, and they've won 2 BAFTAs. And in their speech, they kind of shouted out for the independence of the BBC. And then lastly, Ryan Gosling has just had a second kid.
Ooh. Well, thank you very much for the entertainment showbiz. Are you a fan of choir music? Well, NTU's Chamber Choir have been touring Europe over the last year. Nottingham Trent University's renowned Chamber Choir has been qualified to enter the Choir of the Year 2016. Originally founded by the BBC, the competition runs in various stages nationwide. The choir will perform 3 pieces at the Sage Centre in Newcastle next Sunday. It follows a tour to Barcelona where they sang in the Sagrada Familia Cathedral.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a student here at Nottingham Trent University. I'm in my 3rd and final year, and I've been a member of the Chamber Choir for all 3 years. So at the beginning of this year we kind of entered our first competition that I've been in since I've been in the Chamber Choir, and we got to go to Llandudno in Wales, and we competed with a bunch of other choirs, and we ended up coming 2nd, and the choir that actually beat us was the choir who won Choir of the Year last year. So this year we're really working hard on having a set list of some songs that we can all sing really well from memory without music.
Fashion Week Nottingham has been gone, and the local independent designers have left their mark on the industry. A Nottingham designer used Fashion Week to showcase her bespoke accessories. Claire Levy, owner of Headcase, handmade headwear from colourful visitors and floral headbands. Fashion is an important element in Nottingham, especially with the student culture.
This Headcase started just because of my love of festivals and just wanting to make something different, really. It's nice to connect with other people in Nottingham, other makers, other independents in Nottingham who are on the scene but you just don't know about and you don't get to meet. I think fashion is important because it's a self-expression, and especially in this country with all our different tribes and different youth cultures, it's brilliant because you don't have to fit into one mould. You can choose what suits you and what you want to be and just run with it and have fun.
And that's all we have time for, and this has actually been our final show of the series, so we would like to give a huge, super special thank you to our hero, Julie Lockwood. I've been Grace Connery.
And I've been Katie Taylor. If you miss us in the meantime, follow us on Twitter @media_Lockwood and check out our website, cbj.co.uk.
Bye for now.
Bye.